Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's your boy Gabos. I'm back with another one. I rock with you if you rock with me. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button as I'm on my road to 3,000. I'm on my I'm this close to 3K, yo. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and support the channel as I'm trying to hit 3K before the year end. So support your boy because I'm consistent. So we got this highly anticipated meetup between Andrew Tate and Pearl on her debate show. The reason I like this kind of content is because it introduces us to a whole bunch of conversations that we prototypically don't always have with our friends or our women co-partners in the opposite sex alike, right? So I love intellectual conversations. I love uncomfortable conversations because it's a moment and a chance for all of us to grow, whether you like the people or not. You know, I tend to remove the message from the messenger and don't really get in my feels whether I like you or not if the message is important, right? So we got this interesting debate. Oh yeah, Brittany Renner's actually on this show too. So we're gonna get right into it. And the subject is, what is the number one problem that both men and women face? I mean, if you ask me, the list goes on, but it's gonna be very interesting to hear what Andrew Tate has to say after being, you know, he's been a part of the whole cancel culture. You don't really see Andrew Tate on social media as much because, you know, no one man should have all that power. You know how it go? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get right into it. Hope you guys enjoy it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button because your boy's trying to get to 3K. Let's get right into it. Appreciate y'all.
Other day. So she doesn't give a shit. Okay, so my first question is, what is the number one problem facing men today? And what is the number one problem facing women today?
I can say something.
Come on, ladies.
Everybody's
Everybody's
going
to educate me.
The number one problem.
Answer all the questions. Come on, tell me.
The number one problem with men is that they don't tell women the truth, and the number one problem with women is that they can't handle the truth. Simple.
Ooh.
That's a good paradigm to start from because it's actually very interesting you say that. A lot of women say, I just want a man who's honest. And then the second you're honest, she's like, what?
She can't handle the truth.
Exactly.
It's like, well, then don't ask me for honesty. Of course I fucking lie.
Thank you.
So that's a good point. I agree with that one. I don't think it's the biggest problem, but it certainly is a problem in relationships today. That is a problem. The biggest problem with men today is that I think the world is becoming hyper competitive. Most men are not aware and understanding of how quickly there's going to be a genuine shift in between those who have things and those who do not have things. Not just finances, but also female status, everything else. And it's a status game, right? And it's becoming harder and harder for men to play. And that's all women's fault, of course. Because women choose the winners, right? Women choose who the high status males are. So women pretend to give a shit about men. Of course they don't. They give a shit about themselves. And a woman, if you ask her what she wants from a man, she's like, I don't want much. I just want to find a nice man who's a millionaire and 6 foot tall and funny and charismatic and interesting and spontaneous and looks after me and doesn't cheat. And is funny and good looking and strong. I don't want much. They name all this shit that most dudes are never going to have. And it's becoming harder and harder. And you end up with people, top G's who own everything on the planet they could ever possibly wish for. And then you got other guys who have nothing. And there's this large divide. There's no longer any middle ground. You have dudes who can't get any pussy. And then you got dudes who are just blocking girls left, right, and center. And that's what the problem with being a man is today.
What about the women?
Oh, sheesh.
I would say
I'm not even gonna hold you. That was heavy. That was heavy because you do have a boatload of men that's absolutely getting no play because they don't meet the criteria that the modern day woman gets. Now, you're going to sit here and tell me like, well, women are all materialistic and superficial and this, that, and the third. At the end of the day, there are requirements that every man has to bring in to the table in order for a woman to even have respect for you. You know what I'm saying? Where on the other end of the spectrum, we don't really require our women to do a lot, to be honest. Like, do we, like, a man's request for a relationship is so simple compared to our female counterparts. It's been like that since the beginning of time, yo. So that's very strong.
Well, everybody's got a chance to talk.
I'm going to shut up and have my Clementine.
No, I want to know. I want to learn from you, sir.
You want to learn from me?
Well, I wanted to answer. I feel like it goes for both. It's not just one or the other. I feel like it's self-accountability.
Definitely.
Women are not accountable for themselves. I agree with you there.
Why
0%.
just women though? What
It's
about
both.
men?
It's
Yeah,
both.
It is
definitely both.
It is both. You're right. But society punishes men for not being self-accountable. But society does not punish women for not being self-accountable. I'll give you an example. If you're a man and you're arrogant and you think you're something when you're not, trust me, society will teach you very quickly that you don't matter when you don't get laid and you stay a fucking brokey. If you're a chick and think you're something when you're not, you can run around with your ego, still get dates, still get laid, still have a fairly sensible social life. Society as a whole doesn't come along and slap you in the face with realizations. If you're a man and you think you're something you're not, it is a ticking time bomb until society teaches you a lesson. That's the difference. This is why men in general are more self-accountable, because the men who are not self-accountable get fucked up. So those who are successful are very self-accountable people. They look at themselves and go, okay, the only way I'm going to get and progress further, the reason she left me, the only way I'm going to do better, make more money, et cetera, is I have to change. Most women don't want to do that. They don't sit and think, I have to change. They think, oh, he left me because it's him, and I lost my job because my boss, and this is this because of this. No, you women don't look in the mirror and change a fucking thing.
No, because don't forget what you're forgetting right nowadays. They can't change it because it's all about body positivity.
Are you
They
saying-
can look sexy at a size 28.
Are you saying Lizzo's not a 10?
Are you guys trying to get me canceled?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't agree with what you just said, because 90% of
Why would you?
cosmetic surgery is by women. Women are trying to change as much as possible. Men don't want to change. They're not accountable for
no.
themselves.
Like,
They think that because they're a man, you're gonna be attracted to them. No, like you can't be fat. You stay at home.
Men don't want to change. I completely disagree with that. Society forces men to change. A man has to constantly change and be able to provide and adapt to his financial situation, his environment. Men are constantly forced to change in order to keep up with the natural dating market. Let's be honest. Like, we live in a spectrum where if a man gains weight and gets fat, he don't get laid. You just don't get chicks unless you have money to sort of compensate for the fact that you're obese. You know what I'm saying? We get punished real fast for things like lack of finances and weight issues. Where a woman, if she puts on a little pound, you know what I mean, she gets promoted. Like she's viewed as thick. You know what I mean? It's body positivity, for lack of a better term, like whatever it is. I don't believe at all that men aren't forced to change. That's bro, it's almost damn near what we built on, man. Very
You're
interesting
just
though.
playing video games and you expect a woman to want to fuck you. No, she's not gonna want to fuck you.
Yeah, but then she won't. This is the point. And then she won't, and society will teach them a lesson. They might be able to pull off a little blag with a girl for a year or so, but in general, they're going to end up lonely. In general, they're going to struggle to find partners. I agree with you with the cosmetic surgery thing.
Exactly.
Women are happy to change their appearance and change how they look, but they're not happy to change how they act. Most of them, they're not
Yes,
happy
they
to change. No, they're
are.
not.
The women are changing what the men don't care about. The men don't care about the big old lips.
Yes, they do.
And no, they do it. The women are doing that for themselves.
Yeah.
Because the men don't care about it. The men would rather a woman change her stinking attitude than put on all that makeup and hair and everything. That's what the men want. But the women think that's what the men want. But the women will go out there like, oh, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. If you look at a man and the man said, yeah, he's fat. The man will most, if he's feeling bad about himself, he wants to make something, he'll go and hit the gym. What's the woman going to do? Go and do? Get a BBL, get her lips done, put on her makeup, put on her hair, and stay the big old fat person that she is and say, oh, it's body positivity. The men don't even want that. And
Sheesh.
the women are not getting all this cosmetic surgery for the men. They're getting it for themselves. You can't turn around. What man wants a woman that's going to turn around, go and have an operation, and can't sit
She's
on a plane
spitting.
because her ass has been injected or been interfered with? She got to lie there on her stomach. Do you think the men want that? Or wake up in the morning before you got to hit the house, she's got to put on. I'm sure I worried about some of the men because they must go out with a woman. And then when they wake up in the morning, they think, who the hell is she?
The scars,
By the time you take
catfish.
everything off, women need to change their attitudes before they change their makeup. I'm sure that even more than that, change your attitude. Because women will go out there and they would want to change this, they want to change that. All the things that don't count. If you learn to, the same way how women can go out there and learn to put makeup on, learn to cook. Learn to wash by hand. Learn to please a man.
That is so
That's
outdated,
what you
girl.
need to do.
That's outdated, girl.
She said,
right.
girl.
That's outdated.
She's right.
For who?
I'm saying it's like we had literally just talked about this off camera when you guys picked me up from the airport when we were talking about what's the value system or the point system for a woman who cooks versus a woman who can suck good dick and fuck well.
But you can cook and suck dick as well.
No, but I'm saying is that Pearl, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but quoting her was that when she interviewed people on the street, that there was more points given to something for like a sexual return as opposed to wash dishes by hand. There's a dishwasher. Why cook? We can eat out. There's a chef. People don't give a fuck about that.
That's what they think.
Exactly.
But
no, but we
I
literally just
disagree.
talked about this yesterday.
No, it was okay. I did a street interview and I asked the guys, would you rather have a girl that gave good head or a good cook? And most guys
They want
picked-
this.
Ooh. I ain't gonna front. Yo, leave in the comment section. What would you prefer? I ain't gonna hold you. Head ain't so bad. But a woman that could cook is. I think it depends on your view. Traditionally, if you're a traditionalist, I think you're gonna. Yeah, I mean, if you're a traditionalist, I think you're gonna go with a woman that can cook. Because every single night when you come home from working them late hours, you're working 12, 15 hours, you come home to a nice home, healthy meal cooked and presented by your lady. you know, if you're living in modern times, you're probably gonna choose the wop wop. You know, like who am I to judge? I personally, I don't give. I'm damn, son. I want both. I ain't gonna hold you. But it'd be like 55 cook, 45 the wop wop.
But I think that's
For
more,
the
I think-
quick
but I think
satisfaction.
that's more for like a one night stand.
But what I'm trying to
versus
say is that
long-term.
if you, all the women out there, and they're talking about, well, some of the women want to be settled down. They want a man, right? And you got to think what the man wants. The man ain't interested in that. Look at when you're doing street interviews, you're interviewing single people. Look at the people there that are happily married and ask them what they do. Because all the things that the women out there are doing, you can be a housewife, you can be going out, you can suck head just as good as any old tramp on the street. And keep your man and have a man. And I can say that because I'm 32 years in counting.
Auntie, you can't say
Wait,
attraction's not
I've-
important
Talking to your
though.
mic, talking to your mic.
You can't say attraction is not important though.
It is important.
For you to get no,
Initially.
Does she say that?
Exactly. You a man is not gonna find you attractive and then think, oh, because you can cook well. It's got a chef.
A man's going to
Especially a man
find you
that's got money.
attractive and he's
Okay,
going to...
let's ask Andrew.
He's gonna,
Andre,
he-
a man's
would
gonna-
you be with a girl that's 5 out of 10 because she can cook?
That ain't what I said.
Oh, well, firstly, that's not what she said, to be fair. And secondly, I'd be with a 10 out of 10 who can cook because I'm top G. But to make the point, I think what you have to understand is what men are looking for in a relationship. So you did the street interview, and you're asking single people, probably young people, probably idiots who know they're on camera talking shit about good head, all this garbage. It's bullshit. What men are interested in life, not just in their relationship, but in their life as a whole, is status. I don't think most people understand, especially women, how competitive the male world is and how competitive it is with status. This is why men do everything they do. Men buy the faster car, not to drive any faster, because of status. It's why we want a bigger house. We don't give a shit where we live. It's because of status. It's why I want to go to the gym and get big and strong, because of status. Everything we do is about status. It's why we want the better jobs. It's why I want more money. It's why I want to be respected. So what's the number one thing we want our female to give us? Status. That's what we want. So she can give us status by being beautiful. That's one thing she can do. But another thing she could do is if I turn up home and I come home with my boys and she says, I'll cook you all a steak. That's status. That's all my boys going, Ross, you just been out all night and she's here and she's going to cook for all of us and she'll clean up and tidy up. Boom. That's the kind of girl a man's not going to want to lose because it makes him look good.
Without
That's what men
complaining.
want. Status. Suck a dick, blah, blah, blah. Listen, dick can only be sucked in so many ways. I mean, let's be serious about this.
Have you had the Gok 3000?
No, this is actually a serious point, right? This is a very serious point because the Western world has collapsed in real time and it's a failed society. And one of the reasons it's a failed society is because of the over-sexualization, especially of females as a whole. If a woman comes up to me and goes, I'll be the best sex you ever had, I am fucking revolted. I don't want the best sex I've ever had. I want you to be pure and a virgin. You should know what sex is. Cook my fucking dinner. Shut up. Don't come and talk to me about fucking sucking dick. It's vile. It's disgusting. I don't want to hear that shit.
Can I say something?
I don't want to hear that shit. What I want is a woman who makes me look good. No woman who's running around talking about sucking dick can make me look good. So I lose interest completely and utterly. And that's the truth. So,
Oh, I ain't gonna front. He hit with that one.
you're saying is completely correct. These are old school things, but it's not about the act. Yes, you can order food, of course. It's about the status that comes with it. That's what it's about.
Sagittarius, spoken like a true one. That is true.
My
the
man's
Clementine.
my
It's the
man's a
Clementine.
Sagittarius.
Keeps
Listen,
you hyped.
well,
My man's a
so
Sagittarius.
basically, it's a straight
Why do
shooting
women
sort
go
of
so hard for
conversation. But I think that
zodiac
sometimes we
signs?
get distracted and we talk about the bicker of between men and women. I think that the problem that men and women have is the consequences of the bad decisions that the 1% of powerful men make on our behalf, because our problems are on a societal level less than between woman and man. That is why there's a lot of competition between men, this chase for status that they will never get.
Why is that the fault of the 1% of men?
Because they're the ones that drive the machine that runs this. The West
It's
is
always been that way.
yeah, but then think about the men that are at the top now, the corruption and everything that's going on. And this is why it feels very good to sit next to somebody like you and just say, do you know what? I appreciate that you say things that are really true. You expose a very toxic truth and a very true truth as well that is out there. But the reality is, on the trenches, when you go to the grassroots, people don't feel the way that you feel. It's not as simple as what you say. They are victims of this system. So my job here is really not to try and make it about men and women, is to make you understand that actually we need to start changing the narrative.
You don't want to make it about men and women because
They're both messed up on either side.
Because then women look bad.
No, because it's about everybody together. Women have their traumas, men have their traumas. I'm not here to fight against men and women. That's small.
I understand what you're saying. But the idea that this 1% of men have created this terrible society. Yeah, I talk about that. I talk about the Matrix. I talk about these things. But it's always been this way. It's always been a small elite group of men who are in charge of the world. And unfortunately now we're fighting battles in different ways. The days of old, a man proved his worth by going to war. Basically, every man at any point in his life was going to end up going to war, and he came back victorious. He came back with honor. He got himself a wife. That's how it worked, right? Now men don't have to go to war as much, depending on where you live in the world, and it's slightly different. And we fight our wars in other ways. And one of the true expressions of testosterone and trying to really express your ability and your combative ability now in the modern world is power and influence. So in the olden days, you'd go to war, you come back with a ribbon. Nowadays, you got X amount of followers, you can move the world with money. I can bend reality with money. Please understand, if I walk into Jimmy Choo, they lock the door. No brokies allowed in. Tate's here. And I buy whatever the fuck I want. There's lines outside because I'm there. I bend the world with money. That's how the wars are now won. So you're talking about high status males, and it's always been that way. Now you have a whole contingent of men who aren't dead. Okay, they didn't die in a ditch, but they're lonely as fuck jerking off. And that's the reality of it. And women don't give a fuck about them. And why should you? I'm not sitting here actually shitting on women in any way. I think women have a biological instinct to a degree to try and find the best mate they can because it gives them the highest chance of survival in the harsh realities of the world. And if they look at a man who's not capable, they just don't feel an attraction to him. And that's the bottom line of it. And that's why I'm largely misunderstood. I don't blame women for a lot of the problems. Women are guilty of certain things, but I have a massive amount of blame to place on men because there's so many men who are genuinely incompetent. If I was a chick, I wouldn't fuck these losers either. Like, they're losers. So it's hard out there.
Balance. I love it.
Do you know what I don't understand? Why people are always going for the 1%? All the women want to rush for the 1%. Why don't you just find a regular 9-to-5 person that's going to look after you? You can be his queen. Why can't you just do that? Why is everybody really rushing? I've got a man. We don't go on social media.
It's the fairy tale fantasy. You want the best. 9 to 5. I've got our own property. 32 years. Happy as Larry. What is the problem? It's not old-fashioned. It works.
No, Auntie. Let me clarify. When I meant 1% is not the 1% of attraction. I mean the actual people that are in charge of the things that run the world the way that
what I'm trying to say is that it's always been.
But those that are in charge of the world, you have to understand the men of 1% do not want one women. They don't. They're not your prototypical conventional relationships. The men on 1% have options, and I think there's a gap where that's not honestly spoken about. Like, come on, let's be honest, man. When you look at the Diddy's of the world, the 50s of the world, like, yo, bro, and the list goes on and on. These men are never gonna be faithful and loyal to just one woman. Like, they have access and power that probably the average man has never ever seen before. They have resources that the average man has never ever seen before. They're not conventional. They're not designed for one person, especially when they understand their worth. Women are naturally just gonna throw themselves at them, And I feel like for women to have these unrealistic expectations as I want a man that's a 1%, you gotta understand what comes with that. And 9 times out of 10, you want that man, trust and believe, you're probably gonna end up having to share him. So I didn't want to make this video too long because I'm going to react to other parts of this interesting debate. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Click the subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section what you think the #1 problem a man and a woman goes through. And I'm going to read all of them and comment back. So appreciate you guys. I rock with you if you rock with me. This is your boy Gabos. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Mamba out.